Welcome into Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey, South Georgia. Let's talk sports. I'm joined today by several Lee County Trojans, and we have our first repeat guest on Sports Talk for a very special reason. Now, Lee County football was crowned the 6A state champions this past Friday night. Dean Fabrizio led them on a historical season that was stocked full of milestones and achievements. This was the Trojans' first football state title ever and first team sports state title since 1985 basketball team. Now stay tuned as Dean Fabrizio is going to join the show for the second time this year, and he brought some very special guests with him as well. I said stay tuned, but actually it's happening right now. I got them both right here in studio. Let's take a look. Dean Fabrizio, welcome.
Thank you.
Draquan Garman, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
State champion. We got the trophy right here. How's it feel?
It's amazing. It's a blessing. Yeah, with our team, we put in good work, and hard work pays off. Couldn't do it without the coaching of a coach right here, Fabrizio.
And what do you have to say, bringing the first football state title here?
This is a great honor, and this is not only for the current players and our current students and community, but also for all the alumni and alumni of Lee County and just our whole community that supported us.
Of course. We're going to have a lot of fun on this show. We're going to talk about what you guys did in your season. But first, I got to give a quick shout out to the other teams that also won state championships. Let's bring up the graphic. As we got North Gwinnett won it in 7A over Colquitt County. We had Rome in 5A, Blessed Trinity in 4A, Calhoun in 3A in a controversial game against Peach County, Hateville Charter in 2A, Single A Public, Clinch County, a South Georgia team won it. They done a good job. They repeat of what they did in 2015 over Irwin County, and then in Single A Private, ELCA took the victory there. But back to the Trojans, because that's what we have in studio. I'll be a homer today and talk about you guys now. Of course, we're going to get into the whole journey of the season, but first I want to take you guys back to the state championship game, and I'm going to start with a moment where it almost all evaporated. Playing against Coffee High School at Trojan Field, you guys were tied up. At the end of the fourth quarter, Coffee lines up for a field goal to win the game. What is going through y'all's minds right now?
Well, we just knew we had to get the block right there, and one of our players, actually, Barron Hobson, the freshman, actually did get a hand on it and deflect it. And what I think a lot of people forget about is the play before this one, we actually stripped the ball, and it was on the ground, and one of their linemen happened to be near it and fell on it. So they kind of caught a break right before that with one of their guys happening to be near the ball, but one of our guys stretched out, and you see him just get a hand on it there and deflect it, and it hit the post, and, we had new life.
Right, and Draquan, as you're watching from the sideline, I'm assuming, right? What was going through your head? You're thinking, hey, I'm about to get another shot at this. We might just have a chance to actually win the state title.
As soon as the ball hit the right side of the field goal post, I remember looking at one of our fellow receivers and was just thinking, we got to put the ball in the end zone. We're going in overtime. We got to put it in. We got to win this game.
Well, maybe you should take my job because that was a perfect transition. Let's talk about what happens very next. You guys get the ball first in overtime, correct?
Yes.
You guys go down the field, and Draquan Garman, you get this pass from Jace Orndorff, and we'll watch the play as it transpires. You talked about this with us before, but speak to what this play was, what was the route, and how did you make that so successfully?
We got a corner route, and me and Jace, it's just chemistry thing. We work on it every day in practice, every time we get a red zone call. And coaches, our receiver coach, Dean Fabrizio, we always stress that we got to make plays in the red zone, especially when we need them the most. And right then, set up perfectly, Jace tossed the ball in the back corner of the end zone, and I was just happened to be there.
And Fabrizio, you called it? What was going through your head?
That was the second time we ran that play for a touchdown. That was the same play that scored to tie the game a few series earlier. So it was one we'd worked on a lot. What a lot of people don't know about Draquan is, he tore his ACL in late July and rehabbed like crazy this year, just got released a few weeks ago, and just what a great testament to hard work and commitment, not knowing if he'd get to play this year, but just never stopped being there with the team at practice every day, never stopped working, and hard work really paid off there and perseverance.
That's great. So not knowing if you were going to play, so when did you actually come back and join? What was your first game?
It was the first round of the playoffs when we played, I think it was Grovetown.
Okay, wow.
Played
so
Grovetown.
You had that 5-game stretch, and then you ended with, helping clinch that thing right there, huh? Well, of course, the way overtime rules work in high school football in Georgia, they still had a shot. Coffee takes the field, and then you guys would clinch it. Let's take a look at that play, the game-clinching play, where you get an interception here. Ball is tipped. Who was that tipped it? 16? 16 tips it. I think that's King, and then an interception by Mayo.
Mayo intercepted. Of course, they were a pretty good ways away. I think we pushed them back to the 30 or 35-yard line, and then they had to score to tie it. So it was 3rd and long. So we thought we were in pretty good shape right there. And, you know, Drake, that was a play they actually scored on us in the one touchdown in the regular season game we played. So it's one we worked on a lot, and we were able to get a tip and get the interception and come away with the win.
Of course, coming away with the win. Your second win over Coffee, you alluded to it. You beat them in the region championship 23-7 during the regular season.
Yes.
As a coach, how hard is it for you to beat a team like that twice in one season?
Well, they're a really good team. It's hard to beat them once, and we got a lot of respect for Coffee. We got a lot of respect for all the teams in Region 1. We all were happy as could be that they made it to the finals, and it was an all Region 1 final because we think the best football in the state is here in South Georgia and here in Region 1. It's a fourth straight year the team from our regions won the state title, and we wanted to keep it here. Of course, we knew when we were both in it, one of us was going to win it. It was going to stay in Region 1, but we were really rooting for each other through the playoffs, and the fact that it was an all Region 1 final made it even more special.
Right, and then Garmin, yourself as a player, how do you get back in that mindset? You beat them once, but you guys weren't complacent with that. You guys didn't get big-headed, and you went out there and did it again.
Well, again, our coaches, they put in our mindset that we have to keep fighting and, stay humble, but don't get complacent. It's hard to beat a team 2 times, and Coffee, they're a very hard team to beat. And we beat them the first time in region, and I didn't get to play, but I was glad that we got to play them again the second time. They never seen 88. And they got to see him Friday night.
There it is. That's big. I like that. I like that. And of course, you're a 2-sport athlete, right? We'll be seeing more of you basketball season?
Yes, sir.
Of course, of course. Now, before we go to break, because we have more players in the studio, I want to take a look at some of the records that this 2017 team set. 533 points scored in one season, the most by any Lee County Trojans team. 14 wins in a season. The most ever y'all did before that was 10 wins. You guys went on an 8-game win streak this year. That's the longest streak. And then, of course, the cherry on top of the cake or the ice cream. What do they say? Cherry on top of what?
Cherry on top of the float. The float.
It don't matter. It's a championship trophy. You brought it here to Leesburg for the first time, and that's a big congrats to you guys. So we'll be right back. I wanted y'all to take a look at the play of the year. And as you watched, that was a forced fumble. We're going to go through the journey that Lee County had to get to that state championship and bring another football player in. Stay tuned. Thank you guys for joining me again.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. I have Dean Fabrizio of Lee County with me, and we welcome into the show Josh Asbury, wide receiver for the Lee County Trojans, the state championship winning at the 6A level Lee County Trojans, and he was obviously a big part of that. I want to go into your season because it was a special season.
Yeah.
Some people calling it somewhat of a destiny season, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that you guys, some of the games were earned, some of them just previously scheduled. You had 11 home games. Let's take a look at some of the breakdown of your schedule. 11 home games. You guys went 11-0 at Trojan Field. You had 3 road games, 2-1, 1 at a neutral site, which was against Mary Persons. August the 17th, you guys beat them in the Corky Classic. And then, of course, that state championship game at home on December 15th. Now, we talked a little bit about this, Coach Fabrizio, before we got on the show. That might be the longest spanning season from August 17th, the start of game, to the 15th of December, right?
August 17th was the earliest they'd ever played a game in Georgia. And with the postponement, this was one of the latest, other than the year of 9/11 in 2001, when the season ended later. This was the second longest season, so we probably played longer than anybody had ever had from first game to last game.
Right. Now, did you go easy on Josh in practice, or what?
Oh, yeah, easy on him. He might differ, but we're pretty easy on him.
Right, of course, of course. Well, you guys, a long season, a long journey, of course, that came with a lot of different stops. And I want to talk about a couple of the specific stops that were probably pivotal in your state championship journey. And I want to talk about the Northside Warner Robins game. That game was a thriller. We actually didn't stay to the end to get the video of it, but in order to describe it, a 60-yard field goal that they nailed to tie it, to send it to overtime. And then you guys would go on to win it in overtime, a pass that Asbury caught, a game-winning touchdown. For you guys, having a game like that in the region, let me get the date right so I don't mess this up. October 13th at home on Trojan Field. Having a game like that mid-October, knowing what your season would be like later on, how pivotal was winning a close one like this, a nail-biter, in front of that home crowd?
Well, it was definitely big. Northside is a perennial state power. They've got several state championships. They just won one a couple of years ago, and we knew coming in it was going to be a heck of a game. We had a great game with them last year. We came out just on the short end of the stick, and this was a big one here. They kicked that 60-yard field goal to tie it as time expired, which we were able to recover from that momentum swing, and Josh catch the winning touchdown in overtime.
Right, you won 16-13 in overtime. I'm sorry, Josh, I didn't have your game-winning touchdown like I did for Draquan. We had to get back in studio to get the locker room report going, but can you talk about, could you at least try and give the people a visualization of what happened on that play, and we can go to a one-shot of you describing that?
Well, it was in overtime, and Coach called one of our favorite plays, trips left, and I was lined up all the way inside in the slot, and he called wide corner. I was by myself.
Yeah, and that's what you like.
Absolutely, one-on-one with the safety.
Yeah. So by yourself out there, you helped win that game against Northside Warner Robins, which is pivotal. And again, I'm going to take you on these stops because it led to you guys having so many home games because you guys had to win the region to be able to host in the playoffs. So moving forward, I want to take a look at the one loss you had in this video, courtesy of Eric Tabor, from Bazemore Hyder Stadium against Valdosta. It was at Valdosta. It was October 13th, the game after Northside Warner Robins. You guys are probably a little, maybe a little tired, but obviously no excuses. But what happened there in that game against Valdosta?
Well, guys, first off, Valdosta played a great game, and our region is we feel like is the toughest in the state. I think that's shown out the last couple of years that it's the toughest in the state. And we know we have to get up and play at a high level every week, and we made some mistakes that game. Probably didn't get back up as well as we should after the big win over Northside. But again, take nothing away from Valdosta. They played a great game that night.
And I know of course, getting the state championship, it rectifies everything. But especially, I want to talk to you, Josh. I mean, as a player, how nice would it have been to have the 15-0? That one blemish, does that kind of sting a little bit? Does it put a little bit of damper?
Not really, because our goal wasn't really to go in the field, was win a state championship. So.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. So, and then I want to add, and for you guys, winning that state championship, does some of that, I know coaches say there's good losses, there's bad losses. Would that kind of qualify as a good loss since you guys kind of?
I don't know if I'd say it's a good loss, but it certainly allowed us to refocus on some things. When you win, sometimes little things get swept under the rug, and one thing a loss does is it over-exaggerates everything. And there might have been some things maybe we gotten a little relaxed on, maybe we had quite let slide just a little bit. It made us tighten up on those things just a tad, and so maybe it was helpful in the end.
Right. Now, speaking of tightening up, you guys, like I said, home throughout the playoffs, that semifinal game against Glenn Academy, you guys were down 25 points at one point to the Terrors at home in a game that you needed to win to be able to go to what you thought at that time would be Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And you guys, I mean, throughout the season, I just got this stat from you, Coach, 45 turnovers forced. You forced 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone, returned from that 25-point deficit, maybe exonerating some of those demons the Falcons left on Georgia, and winning that game at home. What was that like? I mean, at any point, and I want to ask Josh first, be honest with me, be honest. At any point during this game, as you see yourself getting a touchdown, at any point did you think, man, this might be it, this might be the end of our season?
No, sir. When we have a defense like we have in a fast-scoring offense, I always had hope.
Right, and I think you were the one that caught that touchdown right before the half, right?
Yes, sir.
And I remember when I recorded that touchdown and came back down the sideline, I heard players saying, hey, it ain't over, man. We can do this. We can come back. Where does that belief come from?
Well, we've got a group that 41 seniors, very experienced team. The week before, we played a great Mays team. A lot of people were picking them to win the state title. They'd knocked us out of the playoffs the year before in a tough game up in Atlanta. So we were excited to have them down on our home field and get another shot at them. And we put a lot into that game and really played well and won convincingly. And again, taking nothing away from Glenn Academy because they came out and played a great game and an exceptional first half. But I think we had a little bit of a letdown coming into that game and had to realize, hey, they're not just going to give us a pass to the state finals. We better get ourselves correct. And Josh catching that touchdown before half and then scoring on the opening drive. We got the kickoff in the second half, scoring on that opening drive. Boom, it was 31-21, and we're right back in it.
Right, and then, of course, you guys clawed back in, and still in the fourth quarter was a deficit. You captured that. You brought it all the way back home. And, again, the reason why we're standing here today talking about it is because you guys would end up clinching that state championship. Before we go to the bump, I do want to talk specifically with you because I've asked plenty of coaches since it happened. Now, with the game being originally scheduled at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you guys were literally on the bus like 5 minutes away from the stadium ready to play, and it gets postponed. How in the world do you prepare these guys for another practice week to do another state championship?
Well, obviously we were all very disappointed we didn't get to play Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but like we stressed to our players, You know, winning the state championship is what we're focused on. It wasn't whether it was in Mercedes-Benz, whether it was in our home field, whether it was at some other site, it really didn't matter. We were focused on winning that state championship, and really it was a good lesson, which is what high school athletics is all about, to teach these kids lessons to use later in life. And what that taught them is in life you're going to have big disappointments, but you don't have time to dwell on them. You've got to put them behind you and get right back to work. And that's what we stress to our kids, and they did a great job of taking that in, and I can't say enough about our 41 seniors and the leadership they showed.
Right, well, that's perfect. And we're getting another close look at that state championship game because, as you said, that was the goal and that's what you wanted. Well, thank you, Coach. I'm going to have you back on to end it off. But, Josh, thank you for joining me. We're going to have some more players right after this break to talk more about this historic season for the state championship Lee County Trojans. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Sports Talk with Theo. This time I got two players for the price of one. We got Fabrizio out of here because we want to show love to the guys that went out there on the field and did it. Ty Terrell.
How you doing?
Quinn Gear.
Yes, sir.
Linebacker, receiver. I got that right, linebacker, right?
Yes, sir.
And two seniors that really helped lead this Trojans team that went 14-1 and won the first ever state championship in Lee County football history. And I want to ask, of course you guys had aspirations of playing in Atlanta. Yeah. As we spoke before the break, you guys were on the bus, about to do a walkthrough, about to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I didn't even get a chance to go inside either, so I feel the pain.
Yeah.
But and you can start, Ty. What did it feel like winning the state championship at Trojan Field and sharing that with so many fans right there at home?
Well, once we knew we can, you know what I'm saying, win the game in front of our fans, we know we didn't have to get on a long bus ride back home. We just share right there.
That's real, that's real. And, what was it like when you guys did actually, I mean, it took all the way up to literally the last play for you guys to clinch it, but you said you never lost hope.
Nah.
When you did actually win that trophy, you got to hoist it up, take the pictures and celebrate, and everybody probably gathered around. Yeah. Describe that moment to me.
It's just so much excitement throughout the whole game, and right when we won it, I just started crying. You know, I started looking for all my brothers on the field, Ty, and my family. As soon as they came down, it's just a whole lot of excitement coming in because we talked about this from the beginning, and we knew that it was going to be a long journey here. And just to have that right there, it's a sweet moment.
That's huge. That's huge. Now, I've won many things in my life. I've won trivia against Coach Fabrizio last time he came here and certain things, but I've never won a state championship. So since then, I know it happened on the 15th. It's what, the 20th, 21st? What has that road been like these 5 days since you guys won?
A lot of people want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people coming up, congratulate you on the win. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go, oh, you Lee County? Yeah. Everybody want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, but it still feel unreal. You know what I'm saying? We won the state championship, and I'm just glad we was the first, you know what I'm saying, senior class to do it.
That's big. And then for you, even when you guys walked into WALB today, I'm going to embarrass Melissa Hodges. She wanted to take a picture with you guys and celebrate. What does that feel like, I mean, having all of these people that show so much love and support for the team?
It's a lot of excitement just to have people you don't even know come up and ask you and who you are and if you played, you know, and just to them to be so excited to meet you. It means a lot because it shows how much everyone cares about you. So it's really cool.
Right. Of course. Now again, we're gonna break this up. I want to get as many players as possible in here, and I thank you guys for joining us. They're very well spoken. I probably have to credit Oakleaf because he's been interviewing you guys all year long. So Oakleaf, shout out to him for doing that and getting you guys media trained.
Yes,
thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna have Fabrizio on right after this break. State champions Ty Terrell, Quinn Gear. We'll be following you guys' career as you move on as well. You stay tuned. I got Fabrizio next. Welcome back to the show. We brought Dean Fabrizio back on, the head coach of the state champion Lee County Trojans. And this didn't happen overnight for Lee County. It was a slow build. He was hired in 2009. They had a 2-win season his first year. This year, in 2017, 14-win season and a state championship. And it's going to continue to progress what people around here are expecting, at least the good seasons at least. They're not going to expect a trophy every year. But can you talk about the prospects of what you have next coming up with this Trojans program?
Well, we lose 41 seniors that have been a huge part of this program, but you know that's a big part of high school football. And last year, you know, we lost Aubrey Solomon, Torrey Carter, Achilles Leroy, Mark Robinson, and all those great players. But we were able to have some young guys step up, some other guys that step their game up and play an even bigger role. And next year, we're hopeful that we got all these good young players we got step up and replace these seniors.
Right, of course. So that was a great job you guys did, and hopefully we'll see more of that. We'll be covering you as you guys go throughout this whole season. And I want to, before we close out the show, get one more shot of all of the Lee County Trojans, or at least as many as we can fit in there. Congratulations on 2017. You guys are #1 in the state. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk.